Hey everybody, welcome back. In the last video, I talked about Canon APS-C cameras, the smaller Canon cameras. And I know a lot of you did not watch all the way to the end of the video because at the end of the video, I mentioned that I was giving away 2 brand new cameras, one of which is over $1,000. And only 4 people submitted their names for each of the 2 cameras. What do I gotta do to get people to watch the end of my videos? Maybe there's just not a lot of Canon EFM users out there. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe they're all Sony and Panasonic people. Yeah, okay. I'm going to mention the winners at the end of this video. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the lenses that go with those cameras. Now, the APS-C is a great format. It's a little smaller than the full frame and bigger than the 1-inch and the tiny little pocket cameras. So you get some really good quality pictures. Most of this video is me showing you examples of what each of these lenses can do. These are cheap lenses. They are not that expensive compared to full frame. Full frame, you're in the thousands. These ones are just in the couple of $100s. And they take pictures that are almost just as good. And at the end of all this, I'm going to show you how these little APS-C lenses compare to a $1,300 full frame lens stuck on a little APS-C camera and see if there's a difference or not. All of these lenses go on smaller Canon APS-C cameras like the M50 or the M100. And they all have interchangeable lenses, which means you can change the lenses on them, which is how you get your blurry backgrounds. Let's start with the kit lens that comes with a lot of these cameras, the 15-45 zoom. Don't think just because it's a kit lens that this is a cheap lens, that it's not really that good quality. If you were to buy this new, it would be $300. You can get them used on eBay for $100, but if you had to buy this new, it'd be $300. But this lens is actually pretty good. You can take some pretty darn good pictures with this thing. At 15 millimeters, the f-stop is 3.5. At 45 millimeters, the f-stop is 6.3, which means you're not going to get blurry backgrounds. But if you know what you're doing, you can get some pretty darn good pictures with this thing. Here it is at 45. Here it is at 15. Don't knock a kit lens, especially if you're doing landscapes or you're a tourist and you're traveling and you're just traveling, you want to get stuff. This is a good lens to have just for having. What makes these pictures look good is I put an ND filter and a polarizing filter on front of the lens and then use the flash, Godox 8200, which gives it the dark sky and the nice flash lighting on the persons. In this case, I'm using the lighting more as the dramatic effect than the blurry background. The 15-45 is just this wonderful lens. I can see why they made this a kit lens that comes with the cameras. Then it's actually a great little lens. I mean, I love it. I love it. I'm glad I took this, I wasn't using it, I had this stuffed away and I brought it out. And if you're doing landscapes and stuff like that, you probably want the background in focus anyway. And wide angle shots are just really cool to take. So let's move up to the next one. We're gonna go from a cheaper one to a more expensive one. This is a Sigma 16 1.4. This is the biggest of all the lenses. It's kind of bulky, but this one here is the lens that everybody's talking about because it's a vlogging lens. It weighs 14.8 ounces, costs $400. The f-stop is 1.4. It's really hard to get background blur with wide angle lenses unless the lens is really big and really heavy, which is why this is the biggest and heaviest one out of all these lenses. But there's a reason why people like it so much, because it just looks really cool if you can have a wide angle shot with a blurry background, which is why vloggers love this. Next one up, we're going to the Canon 22mm f2, call it a pancake lens. This tiny little lens is only 3.9 ounces. It's very small, very lightweight. It's only $250, very sharp images, and it even has a little bit of background blur. I love this lens. It's so practical, so small. You can take it anywhere. I love it, I love it, I love it. If you don't know what lens to ever take with you, it's safer to always be on the wide side. It's hard to move back away when you have a longer lens. If you're going to be walking around not knowing what you're going to be taking pictures of, landscapes, people, who knows what, always have this lens with you. It's so small, it's so lightweight, and it's not expensive. Don't go anywhere without this. I mean, look how little space it takes up. Next up, we have the Canon 32mm 1.4. Now we're getting into some good background blur. This is the lens Canon wants you to upgrade to after your kit lens. It's a little bit wide angle, a little bit telephoto, but it's especially good for portraits. If full frame, this would be a 50mm lens. But the main thing about this is now we're getting into some good background blur for mid-range lenses. It costs $480. It's not heavy. It's not that big. 32 is a nice range. It's halfway between wide angle and portrait, so you can use it for a little bit of each. It's a great lens to have for just all purpose, I guess. And autofocus is really good. It's bigger and heavier than the kit lens, but you get the blurry backgrounds. So it is a step up for sure. Double the price of the kit lens, but you get what you pay for. That's the 32 Canon. Let's move up to the 50mm now. Starting off with the cheaper one, this is a cheap little lens, $89. This is an Opteka 50mm f2, 6.9 ounces, not that heavy, 195 grams. You get some okay stuff once in a while, but a lot of them you get kind of frustrated because they don't all turn out with this lens. Because it's manual focus, and if somebody's moving if you got it at f2 or something, and somebody's just moving just a little bit forward or back, it could get out of focus really fast. The next lens actually has better image quality, but you can get some nice shots if you know what you're doing. You can take your time. It's a hit or miss thing though. Moving a step up in quality, we have for the same price, $89, a 50mm 1.8 by Hersmay. I call it the red stripe lens because it's got this really cool shiny red stripe on it, so it looks cool and impresses your friends. $89. I like the Hersmay. I like it so much more than the Opteka. Great lens to play with. It's actually pretty heavy. 240 grams, 8.5 ounces, half a pound. That's because it's got a lot of metal and glass. The optics are better. It's a little tricky to focus with it when your subject is moving all the time, but it can be used for people, as you can see here. I took this with me on a trip to Beverly Hills, and we just spent taking pictures with nothing but this lens. We walked up and down Melrose at night, during the day, all kinds of pictures taken with this, and great skin tones that Canon cameras have. This has pretty good depth of field, nice blurry backgrounds. It's 1.8, which is, it's not super blurred out background, but it's just enough to look cool, and I really like it. I took a lot of pictures with this lens. I just love the red stripe. If nothing else, I just love the red stripe. It just makes it look so cool. It's inexpensive, it's nice and small, and it's 1.8 instead of f2. Again, it's hit or miss. Manual focus, no autofocus here. But it can have a very cinematic look. Really, really cool. It looks like scenes out of a movie. A great manual focus lens for the price. $89, it's great. You can't go wrong with this. I mean, it's great, heavy duty. Take some great pictures with it. I like this lens. I'm gonna keep it. Next up, the Camlann, however you say it. I love this lens. It's small, it's cute, and it's f1.1. Actually, it's even better than 1.1. Here's a picture I took with two other lenses shot at 1.8. Here's a picture I took with the Camlann at 1.8, and here it is set at 2.4. So it's very obvious that this lens, when it says 1.8, it's actually probably f1, which means f1.1 is probably f.8 or something like that. Now, when you have this thing cranked all the way open to 1.1, the picture quality is terrible, but you don't need it at 1.1. Set it at f1.8 or f2, which is actually 1.1 at that point, and you're still at blurrier backgrounds than other lenses. It's just pure glass and metal. I love this lens. I took a lot of pictures with this. It's just so cool. I don't know what it is. It's the size, the shape, the yellow stripe. It just feels good in the hand. It's just this nice little, it's a little lens. It's actually pretty small. It doesn't weigh that much. 10 ounces, 283 grams. It's not light, but it's not super heavy. But I like how small it is. Again, a lot of this, if you're playing around at f1.1, it's real hit or miss. So if you want good shots with this lens, shoot at 1.8. I played with it for probably 2 years now. It's not that expensive. It's only $180. One thing about the Camlann is never point it towards the sun. Never let any light hit the front of the lens because it won't just be washed out, it'll be blurry. It cannot handle light hitting the lens. That's why they give you this little lens shade, but that's not even enough. You still need to have something blocking the light from hitting the lens. Just keep that in mind. The colors may not be perfect, but the one thing this lens excels at is nice, beautiful, blurry backgrounds. So this is another lens that I am personally going to hold on to. Again, it's a little hit or miss, but it's just a fun lens to have, and it doesn't cost much, $180. Sigma 56 1.4. If you don't want to take chances and you want everything to be in focus and you want everything to be low stress, it's probably the lens that I would choose if I had to only choose one lens. You know, I do a lot of portraits, so that's why I choose mainly portrait lenses, and this one is the perfect portrait lens. I have a Sigma 56 with my Sony 6300. I liked it so much I got the exact same lens for the Canon EFM. And it's just so sharp, even at 1.4, it's sharp, it's fast. really good shots with this thing. It's not that big, not that heavy. If I had to choose between the Canon 32 and the Sigma 56, definitely the Sigma 56. It autofocuses super fast. Manual focus is a breeze with this thing. $430 and worth every penny of it. 10.2 ounces, 289 grams, an amazing lens. And then finally, the large full-frame Canon EF mount 50mm 1.2. You can mount full-frame lenses like this on tiny little APS-C cameras like this M100 using an adapter. They're only $40 for the adapter. But when you do, here's the look you can get. I think it's the best looking images. It's hard to describe. It just has a little bit more of a professional look to it. It just has an amazing cinematic look. The lens fully communicates with the camera through the adapter, so you get full autofocus, full everything. In fact, this lens has amazing autofocus, much more intelligent than the other lenses here. But overall, did you notice how most of the pictures look the same? Even I had a hard time telling the difference between what lens took what picture, even between the little $89 Hearst May and the big $1,300 full-frame Canon. Sure, some lenses create more background blur than others, but overall the quality is very comparable. So it's really not about price. If you're a good photographer and you know what you're doing, you can take good pictures with just about anything. As a matter of fact, I don't usually grab the big expensive lenses when I just run around and take pictures. I like grabbing the little cheap ones. They give me more pleasure, more fun, and I feel a little bit more of a sense of accomplishment. Like, yeah, I know I can take a good picture with the big expensive one, but if I can take just as good a picture with the little ones, I feel better. I feel like more of a sense of accomplishment, and it's just more fun. I mean, plus they're small and they fit in your pocket more. So really that's what it comes down to, I think, is which lenses give you, as a photographer, the most pleasure. So here's some lenses that I have that I've been playing with Canon EFM. Smaller cameras, smaller lenses, great to, when you're traveling, very comparable to the Sony 6000 series, the APS-C cameras. But I'm going to give one away, just for the hell of it. I'm going to give away the Opteka 50mm f2 to the fifth person that emails their name and mailing address to freestuff@marcuspics.com. You get an Opteka 50mm f2 just for being there, watching the video. Let's get into the winners of the actual cameras, the M3 and the G1X Mark III. So this is kind of pathetic. 4 people for the M3 and 5 people for the G1X Mark III. This is pissing me off. I mean, I was like, why even bother? But it narrows the chance. It heightens the chance that you could win if you're one of these people. So that's good. I hope this person is happy with this. So I'm going to here's the names for the, I'm going to start with the M3 first. Here's the M3. 4 people. Stir it up, stir it up, stir it up. Here we go. Here's the name. Ready? Here we go. Antoine Belote from Norwalk, California. Congratulations, Antoine. You got yourself a brand new Canon M3. I'm sorry, Antoine, I cannot find the box. I just had it for 2 months, and the place is a mess. I cannot find the box. If I find the box, I'll send that separate. But I'm going to send you a brand new M3. Congratulations. Let's move on to the G1X Mark III. 5 people. Very good chance. Whoever you are, if you're one of these 5 people, you got a 20% chance of winning. So here we go. Who is this person? Brand new $1,000 G1X Mark III. Russ Graber, Des Moines, Iowa. Congratulations, Russ. You got yourself a brand new $1,000 G1X Mark III. And hopefully the rest of you will watch my videos to the end, so maybe you can win something too, or maybe even learn something or be inspired. You know, I try to do things a little different than other people do. I try to do things other people don't. Practical stuff, fun stuff. Try to make it fun. So anyway, that's my little thing for today is smaller Canon cameras. APS-C cameras are great for vlogging, which brings me to the subject of my next upcoming video, which is the best vlogging cameras. Not just Canon, but all the cameras that I've been playing with over all this time that I find are the best for vlogging. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, so that's my little thing for today is I hope this was educational. I hope it was fun. I hope it inspires you. Subscribe, tell your friends about it. I'll see you in the next video.